Much better.
Much better. Oh, I feel like a tall human being.
And hello, everyone. We are live again as every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I had this pleasure to introduce an incredible person, Mr. Dan Malloy, who master the communication language, and he developed his own method that he himself achieved a personal and business success, but as well, he is able now to teach others how to be powerful in your personal and business life. And we all want to be personal, don't you? So please join us during this workshop, session number 7, and Dan is going to recap what it's all about and how you can be part of it, how you can transform your life in just by using a different language, a language of communication and language of commitment. Dan,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm thrilled to be here. This is number 7. This has been a vision of mine for many years to offer this training, this type of training to individuals. For the past 22 years approximately, I've been offering it to companies. And I still do that. I work with lots of companies all over the country. Matter of fact, next week I'm going to work with a client in North Carolina. And we have a session on Tuesday night. All 50 of their employees will show up. Then the following week, I'm down in Virginia working with a company down there that has about 200 employees. We're working with them. But I'm so excited because this is number 7, and you are in the right place, absolute right place, the perfect place. Because today I'm going to share with you what the 6 moves are. Remember, in language, in the whole world of communication, there's only 6 possible moves that any of us can make. Before I reveal those, I want to just create a little context, number 1. And number 2, I want to do just a 5-minute review of some of the key points that we went over in the first 6 weeks, the first 6 sessions that we've been doing this, right? So here I want to share with you the Maja, how do I show the screen now? There we go. There we go. So if you remember from the earlier class, that you are like a big chunk of marble, okay? And the game for you and me, for everybody, all of us, all humans, on some level, is to find the David inside the marble. And if you remember the story of David that I shared with Michelangelo, who was the young artisan that created the David, and we had this probably fictitious story about how when they had the unveiling of the statue, after 3 years of solitary, secretive work, Michelangelo unveiled the statue, and the reviews of the day were that it was the finest work of art ever produced by anyone ever in the history of the world. And that was saying something. And you look at it, but it's you look at the details of it. So the question was posed to Michelangelo, like, hey, Mike, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you create this absolutely magnificent 17-foot tall sculpture out of one single block of marble? How did you do that? And the reply, tongue in cheek, is that I just chipped away at everything that wasn't David. Right? So, and it revealed in the process that David is revealed out of the block of marble. Now, what I'm saying, the metaphor is that we are like this imperfect block of marble, and we have to chip away at it, and we chip away, and we chip away, and we chip away. Here's the question. What I'm going to reveal today is, what are the tools? There's only 6 tools you have to chip away at your own block of marble and reveal the you that is inside. And maybe you're already doing it. God bless if you are. I'm not saying you're not. Okay, but I'm going to share with you the tools, linguistic tools, because remember, the only tools that human beings have to invent and to create their life is we can communicate and we can move our bodies. That's it. Most people. Most people can move their bodies and communicate. And that's how we invent our life. And so that's how we're going to invent our own David in our own life. But it's not a process of adding anything, is the point. The David is already there inside the sculpture, inside, not the sculpture, inside the marble. And you, the real you, is already there. We just have to reveal it. We have to figure out how to reveal it. Okay, that's what today's session is about. You can hide that. Stop sharing now. Let me see. I can stop that myself. There we go. So I want to just review real quick, 5 minutes, and then we'll take a few minutes to go over the new material for today, which is the 6 moves in language, responsible for everything on the planet. Okay. But here, so far in this 8-week course, I'm going to read what the course promises. In this 8-week course of study, reflection, and practice, you will discover the true extent of your personal power. You will get in touch with your personal power and how to access it whenever you want. You will be able to use your personal power effectively in all areas of your life: personal, work, career, family, community. You'll be more productive on the job and in general get more done in life, right? You will achieve personal goals, whatever they are. So, quitting smoking, quitting drinking, quitting eating junk food. These all get in the way of what we're here for, right? You will achieve personal goals, such as if you want to run a marathon or you want to get in better shape or you want to lose weight or whatever it is, whatever you set for your goal. It's all tied to how you communicate. That's why we're going over this. You will learn to design and create the future you want for yourself, your family, your company. Very clear design. And that's what these 6 moves are all about. I'm going to show you. You'll learn to communicate effectively in any situation. Again, you're in the right place. When you're confronted like this, God-smacked by something you have to communicate, guess what? There's only 6 possible moves that you can make. That happens to me every week. Some challenging thing comes up, boom. It's very easy, peaceful, less stressful if you know what the moves are beforehand and you have a model for effective communication. That's what this is all about ultimately, right? And most importantly, here's what I can say just as one man, one human being, 71 years of age, that having these 6 moves in my back pocket for the past 40 years, 42 years, when I first discovered them, has been a game changer for me. Because like I said, it makes life much easier. You can look, if you have to communicate to someone about something, you can look over here in the Webster's dictionary. And in the English language, what you'll find, you do a little research, there's maybe 1 million words, approximately. Maybe I heard there was a little bit more than that actually in the English language. You can look at these 1 million words to try and pick the right words that are there for you to communicate. Or you can look over here at the 6 moves. Look at the 6 moves and say, okay, which is easier? If you have to respond to something, to somebody, if for you to look at a menu of 6 items versus 1 million. Trust me, the mastering this language of commitment is a game changer for people, okay, for everybody, right? So we went over so far in the class that the only thing we can do as human beings really is move our bodies and communicate. That's pretty big. We went over all the forms of communication, right? Earlier, we went over all of that. Let me see, what else did we go over? We went over the role of communication in life, in business. The role of commitment. The role of commitment in life and in business. Very important. I shared with you the caveman analogy, right? We discussed entropy, when things break down and they have to be built up. How do you build things up when they're breaking down? Language and communication. We discussed the 3 layers of communication, right? That was really important. Now today what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the 6 moves in language, responsible for absolutely everything on the planet. And when I was a young man, at 42 years ago, when I heard this for the first time, and I told you my teacher was Fernando Flores, and I shared that with you. He was the economics minister for the country of Chile, and all of a sudden he's in front of me teaching. He's a philosopher, economist, civil engineer, brilliant man. And he gets up in front of the class. There was like 100 people in the class, and I was one of them. And he said, in the whole world of communication, there's only 6 possible moves anyone can make. 6 speech acts responsible for everything on the planet that's man-made. And I was like, wow, how is that possible? And it is, and that's what I'm going to share with you right now. Let me share my screen again. After I open up my workbook and we get to the right page. Here we go. Here we go. All right, now share screen. And we are good to go. Here we have it, folks. The game changer you've been waiting for all your life, perhaps. Right? So here's what I want to say. There's 2 gray bars at the top and at the bottom. Okay? And the top gray bar signifies the first step in the process. It's the first piece of a model for effective communication. Here's how I would describe it. Whenever you communicate with anybody, in the beginning, like you're out, it could be a social event and you're at a nightclub or a bar or whatever, and you're meeting someone for the first time. It could be a business situation, where you go in and you're going to meet somebody for the first time. I'm doing that at 3 o'clock today. I'll be on camera. I'll be meeting someone from Hawaii for the first time, business discussion. So what am I going to do? Well, the first thing you want to do is build a relationship, and you want to have building a trusting type of situation, right? You want to open new possibilities for people. So it's like this. And the first step is a conversation for relationship and trust and credibility. You want to draw people into your world. Okay. How do you do that? Well, there's only six speech acts that you need to know, right? 1, you can ask people questions and make requests. And you want to ask good questions. You want to ask questions that stimulate the conversation, and you want to ask questions that have the other person in a social situation or in a business situation. What you want to evoke from them is that they say to themselves, "Wow, this guy's pretty interesting. This gal's pretty smart. She's asking interesting questions." They might not say it, but they're thinking it. And they're engaged with you in the conversation. Why? Because you're asking interesting questions or making interesting requests. So request is one of the moves. Promises is another move. Let me just say them all. Where you have the only tools you have in your box, your toolbox: requests, promises, assertions, declarations. Declarations come in three types: statements, assessments, and offers. We're going to cover it all right now in the next 15 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go over it quickly. But really, it deserves a lifetime of study, a lifetime of experimentation, a lifetime of practice, putting it on the court. Okay, and this is what you use for design. These are your tools. This is when you look at the marble, if you consider yourself as an imperfect block of marble, and you're going to reveal your David. How you invent your life and create your life is through these speech acts. That's it. It's simple. Right? Game changer for human beings to understand this. They should teach this stuff in grammar school. So anyway, the first thing, if we're in a new situation, is you want to make requests and ask questions that evoke a mood of wow, trust. You want to make promises. You want to make promises and request promises of people that has them say, wow, okay, this guy's on his game. Looks like he knows what he's doing. You're either making promises, making commitments, or asking or requesting that people make commitments to you. Really important skill to be able to do that. Okay. You want to be able to make assertions, statements of fact that add to the conversation. Assertions are statements of fact that you tend to build trust and credibility. You substantiate claims. So you're in a social situation. Somebody says, "Well, what kind of sports are you into?" And you can share with them. Yeah, I've been. If it was me, if somebody asked me that, what are you into? What do you like to do? I said, well, I've been a runner for 40 years. I was a triathlete for 13 years, and in 2011, I finished in 6th place in the entire world in triathlon in the World Championships in Beijing. That's true, by the way. That's an assertion. That's a statement of fact that if somebody wanted to, you could look up, you could go to triathlon.org and you look up the grand final for 2011 and you'll see me in there in my age group. I was in the 60 to 64-year-old age group and I finished in 6th place in the world. So I'm adding stuff to it. So if anybody out there wants to research it, you could research it, but not necessary to do that if you make the assertion. If you're in a court of law, they're going to want you to produce the website and they're going to go to line 6 and you'll see me. Right? It's a different conversation, but in a social setting or whatever, you can share with somebody. Just share with them. You know, in a business setting, you might want to say, well, look, I've been doing this kind of work for 22 years, and I have a degree. I have a master's degree. I have a doctorate. I have a college degree, and whatever your degree is, or if you happen to be, well, the doctors do it all the time. If you go in and you're sitting down in the doctor's office, you see all his diplomas up on. You're talking with him, and you look behind you, you see the medical schools all laid out there. Fine, very similar. So he can assert, he can point. You see, I graduated from Stanford Medical School or whatever. Right. So being able to make assertions really important. And in business, I mean, you want to say things to people, like, well, the work that we're going to do for you is warranted for 2 years from manufacturer's defect. We'll replace any. So that's the assertion. It's warranted for 2 years, right? That's the assertion. You could back it up because there's a certificate that comes when you make the purchase, so it's all there, right? So now I want to come down. So assertions, being able to use facts and figures and information to state powerfully will tend to, if you have your facts and figures together, if you're in a debate, will tend to shut people up on the other side. They go, oh, okay, this guy knows his stuff, and okay, I'm not going to argue. They're really good with their data. They're good with their information. Really important to be able to do that. Right now, declarations come in 3 varieties. Really important. If out of all the 6 speech acts, declarations, in my opinion, are the most important because they lead to other things and because of what they do. A declaration, let's look at a statement, for instance, such as, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to run a marathon. It's a statement. It sets up the future for me. Declarations invent the future. Thomas Jefferson declared, along with the founding, we're starting a new nation. The Declaration of Independence is a declaration, it's a statement. Declaration of Independence, and it's 2 things, a Declaration of Independence from Great Britain and a declaration that we're starting a new nation when? Today, right now. The United States was started with a 3-page declaration. That's power. That's why I say this is arguably the most important. I talk about the JFK moon speech all the time. Arguably one of the most powerful one of the most powerful speeches of all time. Watch it. Go home and watch it on YouTube tonight. Just Google JFK moon speech on YouTube and watch it. It's short. And watch what he does. He uses very simple but powerful language. He declared that we are going to the moon. It was a declaration. That's a statement. We choose to go to the moon. Declaration. We choose to go to the moon because we're Americans. We aim to be first in space. Another declaration. We're Americans. That's an assertion. He could prove it. He's got a birth certificate. But so he invented the moonshot in one speech. I'm sure he had done research and everything. He knew the timing, even his own estimation, the timing was right, boom. But he didn't live. He was unfortunately assassinated, was killed before that. But in the summer of 1969, they landed on the moon. That's power. That's power. And we can all do that kind of thing. He declared a new future for the entire country. Thomas Jefferson did the same thing for the country and for the world. Look what's happening at the border now. People want to come here. Why? Because of the conversation that is America, the freedoms that we enjoy, the wealth that we've been able to create over time. They want to come here. It's obvious. That's what the Declaration of Independence did, and followed by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and everything. But that's the documents, the language we live by, and it's riddled with declarations and assertions about about society, about how we're to behave, about our rights. Statements, declarations by themselves are powerful. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to come out and see you at your place of business. These are declarations, and they're powerful. They say something, but they're not commitments. And they don't cause action to occur by themselves. Kennedy said, we choose to go to the moon, and we're going by the end of the decade. We're going to be there. That's a commitment. That's how declarations tie back to promises. A promise is a declaration that exists in time. So if I say I'm going to run a marathon, or I'm going to come out to your place of business and we're going to have a meeting, if I don't include a time element, the odds of it happening are slim and possibly none. That's what most people do. There's no rigor. Now, what I'm sharing with you, I'm sure makes sense to people. It's logical. But I can tell you that most people are not rigorous at all with any of this stuff and don't know how it bolts together for the most part. And how do I know that? See, that's a claim I'm making. That's an assertion. And I have the proof because I've analyzed more than 1 million business conversations. And I can safely tell you that the most people out there in business today are not skilled at designing conversations like I'm talking about. And most importantly, are not skilled at making bold commitments and bold declarations that will invent the future for themselves and or other people like customers or family or friends or coworkers or whatever. But I'll share this little thing with you right now. I'm going down to see this client I mentioned to you next week in North Carolina. And I have a little speech I have to give. And it's going to be about commitment. The speech is going to be about commitment. There's going to be about 50, 60 people in the room. And I'm going to share with them about some of this stuff. And this company is already in the game with me. They've already become a commitment-based company. To get a little more granular with it, they've become, and I can help you with that, commitment-based company. Why? Because I can help you with that is a declaration. When you say that to someone, it means that you can help them. And when you tell them, I can help you with that right now, or I can help you with that tomorrow, or you say, yes, I can help you with that, and I can help you with that today. When your wife or husband comes to you and they makes a request, you say, yes, I'm going to help you, and I can do it right now. Commitment. People want you to make commitments. They want commitments from you, just like you want commitments from other people. That's why understanding how this all bolts together is so important. So statements are really, really, really important part of one of the forms of declarations, because they invent the future. There is no future. I mean, let's think about it for a second. Does the future ever exist? No, it never exists. The past is gone. The future never exists. All we have is moments of now, right here, right now, right here, right now, in this moment. Boom. What are you going to do in the moment? Well, I suggest you make some type of declaration or statement that's going to carry you forward into the future. I do that in several ways. I'll give you some examples because I want my life to be interesting, right? So I'll say, all right, we're going to go to a show. 2 weeks ago, we went to see a show. So we made reservations a few months in advance. So that was exciting. So we look forward to what's going to happen in the future. When I register for the marathon in November, boom, now I'm in. It helps propel me into the future. When you declare that you're going to help somebody, mark it on the calendar, put it in time. That turns it into a commitment. They can put it on their calendar. You have it on your calendar. The odds are it's going to happen. The odds are, there's no guarantees, but that's how we invent the future. That's why this stuff is so powerful. This shows you, I'm showing you the tools to invent your life, invent your future. This is all you have. Assessments are really, really, really important, and maybe equally as important as statements, right? But I think perhaps even a little bit more important. And here's why I say that. The quality of your life, the quality and peace that you have in your life is determined by the assessments that you make. As you look out of your eyeballs and you look at the world, when you wake up in the morning, remember what I said, when you wake up in the morning like this, you open your eyes, all you can do is move your body and communicate. Well, the communication starts right away, and the assessments that you make about the world, and what kind of day it is, and the meetings you have, and who you've got to talk with, and this, and all that. The assessments you make determine what kind of day you're going to have. First thing I do every day, I get up, I go, I see my wife when she gets, I usually get up earlier than she does. And so I see her and I give her a hug and a kiss and I tell her, we're going to have I look her in the eye and I say, we're going to have a big day today. We're going to have a great day today. And I give her a kiss. Why? Because that's what I'm committed to. Having a great day, having a big day, having an energized day. Start it out like that. Invent it. Create it. You can invent it and create it just by declaring it. I'm going to have a great day today. Say it. Say it to people. Say it to your coworkers. We're going to have a great day today. Today. Assessments. So here's why assessments are so important. There's no meaning out there in the world. What does that mean? Here's what I mean by that. When you look out of your eyes, right, you get up in the morning, you go to your front door, you start looking at, you see other houses, you see buildings. If you're out in the country, you see a farm building, you see a barn, you see fences, you see cars, you see trucks, you see mountains, you see trees, you see cows, whatever. You see all these things. They exist. They're real. You can touch them. You see them. And you can make an assertion that they're there. You can bring them into court if you had to. Things are out there. But what it all means, there's no meaning applied to anything. Zero. All the meaning is applied by you or me. Like, it's interesting, right? You go to a comedy show and you got 100 people in the room, 50 people on this side and 50 people on this side of the audience, right? The guy tells a joke. The comedian tells a joke. Or it could be a female comedian too. I have to be appropriate here. But whoever it is tells a joke. Half the audience erupts and laughs. The other half goes, oh, God, this guy's crazy. No good. My point is, one group looked out of their eyeballs and what they heard, and they said, wow, this is great. Boom. The other group, not so much. They didn't like it. Same joke. Two different outcomes. The outcomes are determined by you and your opinion, which is your assessment. Your opinion, your assessment are the same thing. The assessment happens in language. I'll give you a quick example of what I mean. How does this determine the quality of your life? I'll give you a personal example from my life. I used to commute. I was a partner in a company in Ohio. We had over 100 auto repair and tire stores. It was a fairly large company. We had 1,000 employees, and I would drive from here to Ohio. We had 15 stores in Pittsburgh, and we had some at 22 in Cleveland and Toledo and Columbus, and so I would make the rounds. I would go out for a week, and then in the market, and then I would come home. I would go out for a week, and I come home. So late on Friday, I'd be driving home from Ohio, typically. Some point in Ohio, and I'm driving. It's like a 7-hour trip from Cleveland to get home. By the time I get home, I'm dog tired, and I come in the house, and my wife, Doreen, is a very creative woman. She's absolutely incredible. She's one of the world. She's a great vocalist, and she's a arts and crafts wise. She's really creative. She's a writer, very creative woman. So she has projects going around the house. She got a project on the kitchen table, and she's got something going on the dining room table, and she's got another project on the coffee table. She's got stuff out, the sewing machines out, and she's got her little paints and stuff out that she's using to create things with. And I'm like, I come in and I start complaining. And I did this for a couple of years. I complained that the house was a mess when I got home on Friday. There's an assessment that I make, right? I made it up. And it was producing suffering for me and producing suffering for Doreen. So I got to thinking about it, and I did something that for me was rather brilliant, if I do say so myself. I changed my assessment. I looked at it carefully, and I changed the assessment. I looked at it, and I said, Doreen, why is she doing these projects? Well, if I spoke with her about the projects, I would find out that she's doing something to help our situation, to help make the house look better, to help somebody, to help something. She's trying to improve something. That's what she's doing. So I started to look at it differently. Now I changed the whole thing around. Now if I'm on the road, I'll call her like this week. Next week I'll be away for 3 days. I'll call her from the road. I'll say, what are you working? What surprises do you have for me? I turned the same thing. I used to complain, and it used to cause agita and grief for her. I changed it to a game where we have fun with it. And she now says to me, I'm not going to tell you what we're doing, what I'm doing. I'm going to surprise you. It's a surprise for you when you get home. Right? So it's really, really, really cool. So assessments, literally, about coworkers, about your family members, about aunts, uncles, your brothers, sisters, the assessments you make determine the quality of your life. It's so important to get that. A lot of times assessments happen to us. Here's another piece. I got to bring this up. Why are some people so negative all the time? Being negative all the time is, for the most part, I'm going to speculate and say is an automatic assessment about what's going on that somebody's, and it's negative in nature. That's not going to work. I can't do this. I can't do that. Blah, blah, blah. All that kind of negativity, right? Is really, why are some people like that almost every day? Because the negativity happens by itself. It happens to you because the first purpose of this piece is to survive. And so the body, people are programmed like this to look out of your eyes and make assessments about danger. And so you're looking and say, is this safe for me? So that's the kind of filter. Is this safe? Am I going to get hurt? Do I have to be careful? Do I need a gun? Whatever. It's the automatic assessment that sets up everything. So you have to be able to see that that's happening. And when you can see that you're making negative assessments all the time about things you can't do and why you can't do it, and you know it's not going to work and all this kind of stuff, you can stop and change it. You can reimagine it. You can redeclare and just do something that's positive. That's the power in this stuff. But the negative assessments come, you watch people, it comes pretty much automatically, right? Now, since that is automatic, because it's part of the survival mechanism, inventing inventing and creating new things requires something else. That's what offers are about. Offers are declarations, right? And commitments to provide something for someone. It's opening a new possibility. Oh, I have a great special today for you. I want to share with you. I'm so glad you called us if it's about business. Or I just called somebody. I have a business opportunity. I left them a voicemail and left a message. I got an opportunity for you. That's an offer. I've got an exciting opportunity I want to talk to you about. I just did that 5 minutes ago, right before I got on here, this call. Offers are very, very, very important. You open new possibilities to look at and they go, wow, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. Boom, now you're off and running together. We call that sales. I call somebody a great salesperson if they're skilled at making offers. And if they're skilled at making commitments to help people. Technically, there's no such thing as sales. If I were to say, like I said, that Johnny Smith is a great, or I'll say Maja is a great sales gal. She has the ability and skill to build trust and credibility quickly, like we said in the first gray box. And she's great at making commitments. The commitments, now, we have down here, the bottom gray box. The second piece in the model for effective communication is to have conversations that produce action. Well, how do you produce action in your speaking? There's only a couple of ways. One, you can make a request of somebody else to do something for you at a set point in time. Right? Makes sense? Would you please bring the car around for me by 2 o'clock today? Or you can make a request of Uber. When you fill out the form on Uber, you're making a request. And they accept them, then they show up and pick you up. That's how it works. It's a series of requests and promises. That's how life operates. Okay? Anyway, so let's just to recap. The only moves you can make in life: requests, promises, assertions, statements, assessments, and offers. That's it. Those are the only moves. This should give you great peace, right? And you should want to, I would think, come back and work with me and take if this is your first class with me, take this class and take it a bunch of times and start to develop some real skill with weaving these things together, these speech acts together, to build relationships with people, to open possibilities for people, and to have conversations that produce the action that you want to have occur in the future. Always about the future, right? Cool. But that's it for me today. The next time we're going to do something I call the foundation for results, another model. I'm going to show you what that's all about. I'll just give you a little glimpse of it, and we could do that next week. The foundation for results is right here. We're going to go over this model with you. The foundation for results shows you where results come from in life and how it's all tied to other people, working with other people, collaborating with others. So that's it for me. Maja, right now, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
So I should stop sharing. Stop my screen share. Did I leave anything out, Maja? What do you want to add?
What I would like to add,
Pay attention. I mean, that's another thing. I don't know if you were actually paying attention.
I do, and I wish there was. I mean, all what you say, it's so simple, but on the other hand, we don't pay attention. At least before I learned about this method from you, I didn't pay much attention to this.
Right, exactly. No, but you're bringing up a great point. I can't tell you. Actually, this client I'm going to see, I share with you, this guy, I'm going to go see this company. And I asked him, what do you like about the language of commitment and everything? And I said, well, we were doing things beforehand, but we didn't really have our hands on the controls.
Yes.
So you can see, once you understand that life revolves around these 6 moves, always. Those are it can become much simpler, and you can start to plan things out a little better. Have you found that?
Yes,
So
and I think as well what is important that very often what I notice in my network, that people say things that they will do the things, but then they never follow up on their words.
yes,
And I'm noticing that, and I'm saying, okay, I don't want to be connected with the person. Plus, I don't want to be a person like this because I see how this affects me, and how I start perceiving others as a not reliable, not trustworthy. They're not going to follow up with their commitments. So it means, it's not somebody that I want to give business, because even if I refer someone and they're not going to follow up, then why should I, make this, put myself in a position to my connection that I'm surrounded with people who don't follow up and they are not
right.
committed.
Right. I think there's a general malaise out there in overall in that I don't I don't think people really understand that they are their word. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were dropped off and you had nothing, like you say, God forbid, you're coming from Ukraine and you're left on the side of the road with a baby and just you and you got $20 in your pocket. That's it. That's all you have. The only thing you have is your word. That's all you have
Yes.
that other people can count on. And that's going to be very important. I'm thrilled that you brought that up. We're going to talk about that next week because we have to live our life with other people. We live with other people. We work with other people. We don't live in a cave, and being able to make commitments to help other people.
And then things happen fast. Once you commit and when you are in this mode and you are following up, you're doing the things that you promised, you feel better.
Yeah.
Other people get accomplished things, and just we all get more happy.
Yes, I agree, 100%. You're
Yes.
doing such a great job with me on this, and I appreciate it. And so we have our final class next week, and then we'll take a couple of weeks off, and we'll regroup,
Yes.
start another session. We'll have to publish the date when we're going to do that.
Yes.
But anyway, that's it for today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye bye now.